Can I ask you a question with that?
Yeah, go
Did he
ahead.
actually? Did you actually see him go to church? Did y'all go to church
Yeah, we
together at some
went.
point? On
Yeah,
a
for a
regular
few
basis, y'all were going
for
to church together.
yes, we were.
I find that to be more. This is where I definitely agree with Trip. I find that to be more rare than it is regular.
It's a
So
sense
I
of
think for
accomplishment. It
me,
gives you a
it wasn't
sense of worth.
flexing on nobody because all my friends are married. I'm still single one, but I think it was for me. I think in during that time, I think it was the excitement of right being married to somebody that was God fearing in the church, deacon, all that at the time, and I was just like, okay, I can work on. I mean, I'm half hood, half holy.
What?
Nah, ladies, y'all just educating me tonight. I appreciate it. It is just being reaffirmed that men just really honestly just need to continue to go their own way. Because this should not be that difficult. In my opinion. The mere fact, everything you guys were saying in some cases makes sense, right? Where do we as men start to assess how we should dethrone or remove your position in the relationship when you are not conducting yourself to the manner or maturation that is woman? What does that actually look like?
People talk about like the Cinderella story. I be sitting there like, who sold y'all this for real? Y'all really believe that? Like, I really be lost because I've always had reality in my face, one way or another, whether I liked it or not.
Now that you know better, you must do better. And some folks are not willing to do better in order to sustain their position. And so they will go somewhere where they don't have to do better, and they end up being able to complain about a bad situation.
What it looks like to me is like people know exactly what they're getting into. They know exactly what they're getting into. It's not like everybody comes in as a Trojan horse and then all of a sudden you get this surprise. I don't feel like being responsible anymore. Surprise. I'm not going to be a good leader anymore. I think that people get into a situation and then they just don't take the time to consider what it's actually going to be to live with that situation. You don't know what it's going to be like and it's something that you probably could understand, but we don't take the time to think about it, right? Like, and I could give you an example of where men mess up with this. Men would mess up with this when they try to wife the joint that they already knew was outside, right? We know what it is she doing, right? We picked her up off the curb, matter of fact, but she got the booty that I've been waiting to catch for a minute, right? She with the joint, she and me with it. I'm not gonna get any more than the explicits, but yes, she does all the explicits, right? And that's what I wanted. And I'm trying to wife it, man. I'm really, really trying to wife it because I'm so attracted to that. And I know in the back of my mind what it was going to be like. I knew the degree of difficulty that it was going to take for me to be able to convert, if even possible, which most times it's a waste of life to try to do that. But then rethinking, like, nah, he really got this part right here, which I really shouldn't be focusing on, but I could work on the other stuff. I could probably convince him enough to be a leader. I can convince him enough to be loyal. We know he wasn't loyal before, and he was getting all the joints, but I'm sure he's gonna want to settle down with for sure. And if we go into situations with this train of thought, you're bound to lose. And I think that's where we're falling. I don't think that anybody's being fooled. I think that after one, two, three, four, some of us 10, 20 relationships, you start to develop some sort of muscle memory, some sort of discernment that should work in your favor. But some of us are so damn hard-headed that we have to learn the same lesson over and over again.
So, Trev,
A lot
do
of
you
people date
think
the same
that?
people over and over again in different bodies.
Mhm.
A lot of
What's
times,
up,
some
Keisha?
yeah,
I was gonna
You
say.
right.
So you said a lot of times we go in it as women. We know, we know, we know. Do you think that it's fair to say that some people, men and women, show up as representatives, and sometimes they hold it for long periods of time? And I love stories. So my ex-husband, when I met him, he was like in the church. So he said, I'm so into God. And parents made me think of this too. And God is this, God is like, God. He was just preaching and teaching. But then after a while, I was like, why I'm going to church by myself? Like, what weird is that? And don't say I changed him, y'all, because no, I did. But I was just wondering, like, and then he was just like, I'm this and I'm this. It's kind of like Mark. I'm the man. I'm the leader because I lead and I lead. And then like,
Can I ask you a question with that?
yeah, go ahead.
Did you actually see him go to church? Did y'all go to church
Yeah, we
together at some
went.
point? On
Yeah,
a
for a
regular
few
basis, y'all were going
for
to church together.
yes, we were.
I find that to be more. This is where I definitely agree with you. I find that to be more rare than it is regular, because if we
Yeah.
really pay attention enough to people in general, we can always look at, oh, so and so and so and so, but we completely just disregard the little things in the person that we're trying to make a life with.
And maybe
My
I
sister
did.
said the little things will always turn into the big things. People talk about red flags. She said no, pink flags. I love my sister saying that to me. She's like, the little things, even when you have a roommate, think about that. The little things of someone leaving like dishes here, it don't sound bad at first, but then it's like every fucking day I come to this motherfucking. That's what happens. People are ignoring those things that, again, they also don't know themselves that that's going to even bother them over time either, and they ignore who they are too.
I think that so if I can have a transparent moment, I think for me when I got married or when I was going through that 8 month engagement and all that, it looked good because I was getting married. Does that make sense? Like I was hype
Okay.
about getting
Listen,
married.
A lot
listen,
of people want the
Wait a
Lakeisha,
minute,
title.
I'm
A lot
I'm
of people
being
want the
you are
title.
honest.
saying the quiet part out loud because this is
Okay.
the reason, the main
So
reason why women want to get married is for the look. So they can flex on all the other homegirls. Look, I got this ring. I'm married. I've arrived. I'm here. And not just that, but it's a good feeling, right? If it's a
So
sense
I
of
think for
accomplishment, it
me,
gives you
it
a
wasn't
sense of worth.
flexing on nobody because all my friends are married. I'm still single one, but I think it was for me. I think during that time, I think it was the excitement of right being married to somebody that was God fearing in the church, deacon, all that at the time, and I was just like, okay, I can work on. I mean, I'm half hood, half holy. So I was like, I could be worked on during that time, but then it just slowly shifted. But it was the excitement of it all. Yes.
So you were trying to
So
find
wait,
something to
Lakeisha,
heal
let
your
me ask you something.
unholiness, is what it sounds like.
I think we're
Well,
missing the
hold
indicators,
on,
right?
Trey.
So,
Go ahead.
oh my bad.
No, you go ahead. I just wanted to put this post up that I came across since she said that. But if you want to respond to what she was saying, go ahead.
Yeah, not long, not long. I think we're just missing the indicators here, right? You'll look at a person and ignore all the things. I see people do it. Um, Miss Mac might have said it a second ago, but when you're looking at your homegirl, she got a new dude. You find every single thing that nitpick that's wrong with him. All the indicators are easily identifiable. But all of a sudden, when it's you and you right up under, it's right under your nose. You can't somehow understand what's going on. It's extremely difficult for people to not know these things about someone. I think that I can say for men on our side, we spend way more time courting and way less time vetting, and that's usually our demise, right? And we look at the good in people, and sometimes we give people the benefit of the doubt when they're no more than the doubt or the benefit. But sometimes seeing the good in somebody is the worst thing that you can do for yourself. Sometimes you just have to be pragmatic about it because it's your life, right? And I understand that love and all of that is a beautiful thing, but to me, you got to get to that point. I think you should really start to assess these things, and if you don't know about characteristics, character traits, and habits, and it's something that you have to investigate because when you want to find out homeboy a cheater, all of a sudden you could become Matlock or whoever the hell you need to be to find out if he's cheating. I think you should put that same amount of investigation skills into vetting your man when you want somebody long term. And here's another thought. Try having some conversations about just life things, about decision things, just about scenarios things where you'll figure out how their mind works. I think one of the main things that I've learned to find out about relationships, me, myself included, is I need to know what type of frame of mind you have. That's the most important thing. I don't really care about the superficial shit as much, none of that. But my main thing is your frame of mind. How do you operate in life? Because one thing that I know that people do one way, they do it all the way. If you're a slob everywhere. If you have poor work ethic, you're probably going to have poor relationship ethic because you're just not disciplined, and some people are just inconsiderate. So when you start looking at their core values, you'll quickly figure out what it is you need to know about that person. My bad, Jared. You can
And
run a
how
No,
was
couple.
this
you all
person
good. You
supposed to
all
be a
good.
leader and they weren't even a leader where they was working at this whole time you knew them either? And I don't think a lot of people are in love. I think a lot of people are in limerence. Like,
Mm.
and then we're also ignoring that person's not even leading their own life. Like, really, like, look at the, like, over, if you look at the whole overall picture, is that person even leading their own life?
Now, ladies, y'all just educating me tonight. I appreciate it. It is just being reaffirmed that men just really honestly just need to continue to go their own way, because this should not be that difficult. In my opinion, the mere fact, everything you guys were saying in some cases makes sense, right? Where do we as men start to assess how we should dethrone or remove your position in the relationship when you are not conducting yourself to the manner or maturation that is woman? What does that actually look like? Because we are supposed to be leader. I agree. So if I'm leader and I'm not holding up my standard as such, you are allowed to now second guess my position. How does that look from our end, from y'all perspective?
I think that goes in hand with also knowing what you're wanting to, as a leader, delegate to that woman, and her to actually have a full understanding of what that is and what that actually means. Um, I think, unfortunately, that's why I was like, it's easy to find a wife. I think it's easy to marry someone, but to find a wife that's going to actually uphold that delegation on her end without having to be held under some like scrutiny, I think that is the most difficult part because, unfortunately, and I've heard y'all say this in different manners a lot of times, there's no real way to gauge other than the duties that you are asking of your wife to know if she's slipping in that space or not. Um, and I think maybe that's a lack of also some of the conversations. Because I think if we had more of these conversations in dating or whatever, we wouldn't clash so much with these conversations because there would be an actual better understanding of what the other side is actually saying on a more regular basis if you're talking to people. Because it sounds crazy that people have dated so many people. And I just mean dating, just talking to people, getting to know people, not nothing past that, just talking to somebody. To have heard people have been doing this for so many years, at some point, I'm lost in how you're not hearing the same thing across the board if you're really having the right conversations of understanding what most men are even wanting in general. So I think there's no way to hold it from the other end, unfortunately, in some manner. If
You
that
see,
makes
that's the
sense.
challenge. That's the challenge
And
that
that's the hard part.
yeah, that's the challenge I'm personally having. It is convenient that my position is static. And again, I'm not arguing it from someone who I believe I arrived at manhood some years ago. I understand what I'm supposed to do, but I was also under the understanding, and this is me being honest and transparent, that me being human and me being with another human woman, that through the development of our relationship, I'm not perfect. Neither are you, but I'm never looking to remove you out your position from holding you in this realm of perfection. You are going to get on my nerve. You probably have already gotten on my nerve, but I have allowed my care for you to supersede your inadequacies. I've allowed you room to grow. I've given you ample opportunity to better yourself. And not am I looking to demote or remove respect because you are my woman. I've claimed the position of being your man, right? That's the love part. But from what I'm hearing from the women, see, that's not what we're getting. And I think that's the issue in relationships now. You guys want Superman, Jesus Christ, Tupac, Genuine, and Jeff Bezos all at the same time. But depending on how you feel in the circumstances, because all y'all share the same sentiment. I trust him until he puts me in a compromising situation. I trust him until I'm uncomfortable. Y'all not ready to be wise. None of you, in my honest opinion.
So
So I would
true.
say
Correction,
that
I
the
didn't say that.
unfortunate thing is that a lot of women, though we are emotional beings and creatures, like not only, but the main ones in that space, there becomes a point where you have to learn how to regulate that shit. And that's the part that's missing because your emotions definitely can overtake. And if your emotions become more of a deciding factor versus an indicator of, okay, maybe I need to sit here and think about this, like, why am I even in this emotion? A lot of people just skip to I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm and go into survival mode almost. Like everything just goes off versus having the moment, like you said, of being like, okay, why did I even trust this person in the first place? That thought process is missing in the back end, where it's like, yeah, you can be emotional, but that doesn't mean you have to act on those emotions. You know,
But
for example.
where's the commitment?
Sorry.
Like, where's the commitment? What I sometimes see with women collectively is you guys don't second guess your position as mother. When you have a child, I don't see women in mass ever say, when that kid acts like an asshole, I don't no longer want to do this. I don't see that. Y'all committed. You 10 toes down because you gave life to something and you're proud of that. The same energy is supposed to be for the man that you choose to be by your side. It's actually supposed to supersede the child. But that's, to me, the disconnect. And that's why, again, I don't understand. I understand, but it's like, okay, this makes sense why relationships suck nowadays. Because it's always in a state of, I'm having to reposition my position with you. The performance is not the issue. It's the fact that I'm not able to really rest in my position with you, even though we chose each other. And all y'all said, I chose him. So that means that something in your decision-making is inadequate. You don't either trust yourself or you only trust it under the conditions like Mont laid out. It's perfect. That's why I'm saying collectively, I don't think women of today are really ready for this because there is no perfection. They got people losing jobs by the thousands with corporations that got billions, but nobody's quitting and not saying I don't ever want to work. But some about relationships just seems to have a weight that I don't think any man is really capable of holding long term in current day.
It becomes a
True,
like
you
you
know,
said with the Superman, becomes a savior moment. It's like, I'm now married, I'm saved. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to be the what is the soft life and all this, where it's like, that's not what actual like relation committed like husband wife. Like I'm glad that I was able to see the ugly in my grandparents' marriage and even my parents' marriage, to understand that it isn't always rainbows and sunshine. So when people talk about like the Cinderella story, I be sitting there like, who sold y'all this for real? Y'all really believe that? Like, I really be lost because I've always had reality in my face, one way or another, whether I liked it or not. But then I also had conversations with these people as I got older and over the years of asking real questions. So this goes back to not necessarily therapy in the traditional sense, but this goes back to that therapy conversation we have about individuals and really understanding what you're getting into. And even with my idea of getting with a man, I'm never going to try to shake his purpose or his space. I'm coming into this to see what you got going on for real and really listen to what you're saying, not what I want to hear, watching what you're doing, not wanting to see what I just want to see. And I think a lot of times that's what's happening, where it's like, oh, he kind of okay, let me go ahead and get into this. And then that kind of okay turns into, why can't I trust him? Because he was kind of okay when you started. You didn't trust him in the first place.
True. You know, I think that's what you're saying makes sense, right? Because that's how a lot of women's disposition. But I think that's why you're a leader, right? That's wisdom, knowing that everything's not always going to be great, admitting that I'm not always going to make all the best decisions, but I'm going to be shooting 90 from the field, right? Like, that's something that she doesn't know, but you communicate that to her, right? There will be times where I need you, there will be times where you will question me, right? But that's leadership. That's probably in this. I never read the Bible, but I would assume that it's in there where he says, yo, there will be times where you feel this way, right? And this is what you do when you feel this way. So I think that's your job. That's what I do to my woman. I communicate that to her, and she gets that, and she understands the perspective after she talks to me.
I think, and yeah, there's so many. It's a spectrum, right? Being a leader, to me, is a step-by-step type of thing. You don't arrive at leader, that's it. You should always be striving to grow, in my opinion, as a developed human. With that said, I more so am coming from the place of position. It is extremely difficult to execute on where I lie if my position is constantly being challenged. That's the issue that I have. So if I'm a man and I've decided to be with you and you equally decided to be with me with free mind, free body, and you are on board for it, the conditions of things shouldn't question my position, in my opinion, especially if I'm really not putting your life in danger. And all the examples have been extreme. Is he gonna put us outside? Hopefully not, right? Is he gonna beat me? Well, hopefully not, sure. But I just don't see men in the same position that y'all see men. And I've been privileged to be serving the military and play sports at one time. Most men don't, especially when it comes to women, they don't move in this manner. It's almost like
True,
you
they're
guys
gonna
have.
gamble the house away. True.
Say that again. What happened?
They're gonna gamble the house away. True.
I'm saying, like, how many dudes like that? What is that? He gonna go away, get some milk, and never come back. I'm like, how many times did that actually happen on a daily?
True. I think that's the problem. I think that like we assume that all of these guys, like I think these is real life situations that a lot of women be like dealing with niggas, and I be hearing stuff. I be like, dang, he did what? Listen, I would have never thought that my mom husband would go, and become a new person that today, right? Because when I was growing up, he used to be getting on my ass about like, yo, like how you walking over something, and like he just used to be real like on my ass about those type of things. And now I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to him, but he went through something in life, and I don't know if he, got depressed or whatever. But he's not the same man. He's not dependable anymore. I see that nigga still got to put my fucking lights up in my install some truck lights for me. That nigga ain't. It's been fucking a year. I just ain't calling him back. But women, they be going through these situations with these guys, and it reasonably it could be due to them. He probably was never a leader anyway, right? And they did a poor job vetting, but they do be going through some shit with these niggas though.
I think a lot of times what happens is when you do run into somebody that is going to be a leader, and they give you the knowledge on what is required to stay in a position that you want to do. Now that you know better, you must do better. And some folks are not willing to do better in order to sustain their position. And so they will go somewhere where they don't have to do better, and they end up being able to complain about a bad situation. Again, this goes back to desirability. You want him to desire you. Do you know what he desires? He desires somebody that is going to follow and trust and not make the situation counterproductive. So if you're not willing to do that, then you're not in position to actually have what you say you want.